Good morning, everybody. It is Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I thought I would check in for just a couple of minutes before I start the video and say hello to everybody, show you around the workshop. There is a large shelf over here that's got a lot of my handmade journals and a few items that were sent to me by subscribers, friends. I hate to just say subscribers because I've developed such a close friendship with many of you. I love this corner. Those roses were a gift. Well, it's more than one set. Anytime Jason gives me flowers or anytime I get roses, I turn them upside down and hang them for a while and let them dry, and then just, let them turn brown. Rolls of paper back there in the corner. Playing cards, books, lots of books. There's my essential oil. I love that light. I had that in the store, Sidetracked. It stood in the corner with, the Edison bulb. People say that so differently. I'm kind of self-conscious about that. So yeah, just a lot of really fun stuff. Sandra, do you see your card up there? And I don't know if Jessica from Paper Terrace ever drops in. I love her channel. I think she's recently gotten one of these printer drawers. I had one like this in the old house, and when I found another one, I jumped at the chance to buy it. And it's filled up with all sorts of fun little things. I am working on art journals this morning. I've got a couple that are already made and a third one that I'm just about to bind up. So I will have at least 3 available in the next couple of hours. I did want to show you something in particular. This feed bag that I found in the recycle bin, it ended up being a great way. Let's put it over here where I normally keep it. I've been working in my trash journal this morning. This is just a great place to keep trash and recycle. I love to keep labels, and that bag is so sturdy. I cut the front out. You can see it's almost like a large envelope with the flap up. I'm having to make myself stop working in the trash journal. I could play in that all day, but I've got to stop. I've got packages to mail out today, all of the journals that sold. I'm working on, oh, did you hear that? Sounded like a pine cone or something, or maybe even a large branch fell. So let's see what's going on with the art journal right now. I love it when it is like this out here. No air conditioner running because it is not too hot. It's 72 degrees right now, and what happens is if it gets stuffy out here at all, I will turn on the air conditioner for just a few minutes, like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and this is such a small spot. It cools it off, but listen to the rain. Like I said, I had to make myself stop working in this morning because I do need to get a few more journals listed. For now, I've just got a piece of scrap fabric tied around this. And something that I've noticed recently is, or that I've discovered, is that I love to keep a piece of fabric like this on the art desk along with some good paper, because when it gets stained and distressed, it's wonderful. I had a piece I wanted to show you, but of course I can't find it right now. I don't know when was the last time you saw this. I think I've done a lot to it since we took a look at it on the channel. The outside, of course, is the horse feed bag, and I just started my very first entry on the outside with a Sharpie. I love Sharpies, and I have recently started purchasing different colors. You can get just one at a time, and it's not that expensive. I try to add one in to my purchase when I go out, like to Michael's, or, you know, even sometimes the Dollar Tree will have Sharpies. But I did get a brown Sharpie because it feels sort of vintage, and this is one of the ultrafine points. I love those. So this entry is here to stay, and of course you might remember the things on the outside. I have a lot more little charms. In fact, this morning I woke up to very hungry, annoyed cats because we let them run out of food last night. I had to go straight to the grocery store this morning. I mean, they did not suffer one bit. But as soon as I pulled into my parking place, I noticed that there was something in the parking lot, and I looked down and it was some sort of little, like a metal charm that would go on a purse or a piece of luggage, identifying it as the brand name. Anyway, this was part of a greeting card. I loved the flowers, and I thought it was cool the way that tore to kind of, you know, match that. These are the cardboard pieces, of course, from some greeting cards. I bought quite a few greeting cards this past week to send out with orders. I like to try to put in, you know, little pieces of ephemera or a card thanking whoever purchases. And these are just sitting in this pocket. I can come back and journal on these. That was a card that was in like a bucket of ephemera that I bought. The little fox with the guitar in the background. And I saw a fox the other night. We've been seeing a pretty large fox in the neighborhood. Let's see, that's a tag from some clothing. I love putting quotations in. I have a page of quotations. I need to fill it out. It's not completely full yet, but I need to get that complete and put it on my website so that you can download it and use it. Painting is the grandchild of nature. It is related to God. Rembrandt. And then you probably remember that. That was the first thing I did in here. So I've started putting some of the sketches that like I work on when I'm sitting on the couch. I did cut this one in half and glue it in. Maybe we left off there. I don't really remember if I did this on camera. Of course, you can see the French onion soup label there. I decided to leave this card because I was amazed at how different her expression is. She looks more calm on that side, and she looks angry on that side, but when you see the whole face together, it's not that noticeable to me. I put in some rusty paper clips to hold that down while it was drying, and I think I'm just going to leave that. There's another quote. If I could say it in words, there'd be no reason to paint. Edward Hopper. So there's some acrylic paint on the edge here, and then some gold acrylic paint on top of that. This is Sharpie around here. Another thing I decided to do with this one is to try instant coffee again. So this is just some instant coffee and water. In the past, I haven't liked the smell, but I'm not sure that it's gonna have that strong of a smell once it dries. I normally use tea or distress stain, but you know, it's all about expanding those boundaries and breaking the boundaries. Another tip, if you're working in an art journal, when you finish up for the day, if you have a page that you want to paint and you're ready to move on to something else, I go ahead and paint a page and put it to the side to dry. That way it's dry for the next session. And I do have some pretty bright green paint here, this Delusions. This is from Jen. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to be putting some of that onto a page before I stop. There's a printing of that's from the computer, from my printer, the Mona Lisa. That is a label from some Stubbs liquid smoke, and you can see that label is naturally distressed with some of the liquid smoke that would run down the bottle. There's the grocery list that I found that was so incredibly full of junk food. I found that it would be appropriate just to put its bow tie down here in the corner. I love using packages with the windows. You can see she's peeking through there. It says thin spaghetti. I have used masking tape quite a bit lately, and I love masking tape. It is so versatile. It's thin enough that you can actually see through it. You can stain it with alcohol ink, and it makes a very beautiful vintage looking, you know, almost like aged cellophane. There are so many things that you can do with masking tape.
And let's see. Okay, so that's glued down. I couldn't remember if I made a pocket with that. We did have some Bojangles not too long ago. That was just a piece of scrap fabric floating around, and I put it on as a tab. This is another little painting I did on the couch, just practicing one night, and I decided to cut that down a little bit. This is using that large watercolor pad that I bought at 5 and Below, and I'm not real happy with the quality of the paper. Didn't seem as bad this time around, but it's larger than what I normally use, so I'm ending up with some really large paintings. I used masking tape entirely on the back of this page to make it more sturdy, because that's an actual magazine page, and you know, they don't stand up to too much water. That is from a bag from, was that popcorn? Sea salt popcorn? I didn't realize that. Okay, Jason bought me popcorn. He knows I love popcorn. And I guess it's just registering in my head that Late July makes popcorn. You know, I associate them with the chips, which is the first thing I tried by them, the tortilla chips. But it says Late July, and that's pretty fitting for this book. So there's a pasta sauce label. You can probably get this cheaper in the grocery store, I don't know, but Dollar General, Dollar Tree, they have these large containers of the Hunt's pasta sauce, and I always try to grab a couple of those. I try to keep pasta, like, you know, when I see it on sale, the thin spaghetti. And honestly, no, we're not college kids who are, you know, scraping the barrel and trying to eat pasta for 30 days out of the month. But it is so nice sometimes when we don't really have any idea what we're gonna do for dinner. We've both been busy all day, to just make some pasta, put some sauce on it, and have that. And the carbs kind of knock me out, so I don't mind doing that every once in a while. So this entry, of course, here I am bouncing right back to the Sharpie, but I love the looks of this. This was from the poster that is so incredibly glossy. It's thick. You can just see that I didn't know what I was going to do with these, but I wrote my entry on here, and I found a hawk feather the other day, and it's a large feather. You're not supposed to have those feathers, so I'm considering it part of the yard, maybe part of my garden decor right outside. The point is, though, is that I started reading about the hawk feathers, and it is traditionally thought to be a visit from the spirit world. And one of the things that's interesting, oh, let me just say, I did stamp a couple of feathers here. Oh, and I made a little note that Jason thinks that this favors Judy Garland. It's interesting how sometimes you just do something with nobody in mind and it will end up favoring someone when it's all done. But the hawk feather, so when Jason took me to see my dad's gravesite, as soon as we pulled up, I could hear what sounded like hawks to me. And I told him, I said, oh, I feel like Daddy's telling me that he knows I'm here. And it ended up being a different bird, and I couldn't get close enough to the bird to I did get some pictures, but not close enough to really be able to identify it. I think I know what kind it is. I want to do a little bit more research, but this bird, one bird, flew down from the trees and stayed so close to me the whole time. Like the rows of markers, and it's a military cemetery, so it's like it's graphed out. And there was a long row, and my dad was almost at the end of this row, and that little bird sat at the opposite end, just stayed there. And if I would get up and walk towards the bird, it would fly a little bit and land, but it was there the whole time. You know, maybe it means nothing, but I would love to think that my dad knows how much I love him and how much I miss him. So this magazine page is stained with the coffee. I love the way that turned out. Feels a little bit, or looks a little bit sticky, but I don't really feel any stickiness. Of course, there's a trashy paper doll, and there's a label from some eggs. I've still got work to do here. She is done completely with the coffee, and then I came back with a Sharpie, a little bit of white paint, and some watercolor paint. Sorry, my mind was kind of going all over the place there. There's still a few things I want to do to this painting. Namely, I was going to put a little bit of white. It's amazing what you can do with white paint. I do like her. And let's just put 7 8/21. I painted her this morning. Oh, you know what we could write? So this is one of the things that's so much fun about a trash journal. Let's just make a little note that says coffee with an arrow. I think several of you hit the nail on the head when you said one of the things about this is that you don't feel like you're gonna ruin anything or tear anything up because it's already trash, and it's very freeing. You notice I put a couple of spots of tape behind her eyes. There was so much coffee there, I was afraid the paper was gonna rip. And that is a page that I taped in after the fact. That was the cover to a pack of watercolor paper. And this paper itself, the cover, is actually really quality. This was from some watercolor paper. I go through quite a few books making those journals. And then here is one of the trashy paper dolls. She's a bit tall, but that's okay. I don't mind if her feet stick out a little bit. And you know what? Let's give her some heels with a black Sharpie. So much fun. Honestly, you can see why there could just be no end to staying out here and having a good time. So I love these. I see these at the Dollar Tree as well. These little bags of the black bean snacks, and they have the green, like the peas. Oh my gosh, I could just eat the whole bag. Well, I do eat the whole bag most of the time. And there is the cover of a box of hair color. So this is one of the things I love about trash. This was a bag of popcorn kernels, and I love to take a bag like this, stick a vintage image inside, and it's just, to me, it's magic. I love that. So that's just something I printed off the computer, ended up not using it. I put that into place with a couple of brads that are poked through. And then on this page, wow, I don't know what that noise was. It sounded like something falling or... And I love this. You can't really even see the brads because the alcohol ink went right over the top. I might leave that exactly like it is. I might also come back with a black Sharpie and put a journal entry on top of this. And I closed the page here when it was still a little bit damp, and you can see how that color is transferring over. Still more to do here. I did go ahead and glue another paper doll in here and put some masking tape on the back to sturdy that up some. There's alcohol ink on this page. And I definitely think that we're getting close to, I don't think I've done anything on these pages, but on the back here, I did put a pocket with a coffee bag, and that is it. So now I think what I'm gonna do, is go ahead and paint these pages with this beautiful Dilutions green paint. Let's just press that down right away. Ah, love it. Make sure this brush is nice and dry before I dip it in here. I don't know if you've ever had paint that has like spoiled, but if it gets bacteria in it, it's just horrid. Anyway, what I was saying, if we come back to this in its dry form and it's peeling off or flaking off or not sticking, we will go ahead and brush it down or sand it down and just see what kind of effect is left. And we're going to just go ahead and do the whole thing. Oh, I could just play in this all day. All day. Oh, let's just do a thin layer on that because I want to still be able to read that. Okay. I'm going to stop right here. Thank you so much for dropping in. I haven't talked about Typewriter much lately, but I'm going to leave you with some footage of Typewriter getting a fresh cucumber from the garden this morning. She only gets a little bit. They can't have too much.